Alright, what it is, Danny X. We back here with Brooklyn Lou, finishing up a reaction to this video we did a couple nights ago. And the first half was just me and Brooklyn Lou talking, and the second half I'm starting up where we are starting to get visitors in the chat. And this guy that's going to pop up here, he is a Catholic. And then we are going to have another atheist pop in after a little bit. And let's get into that.
Didn't start saying anything of my beliefs until they started asking me.
Yeah, we got a Catholic traditionalist. Welcome in.
Howdy, partner.
Yes, hello there. Good evening.
How you doing?
Very good. How you doing?
Okay. I can't complain. I'm a little sleepy, but I'm drinking my Monster.
Been better, been worse. It'll be all right.
So, how are you, Catholic traditionalist?
Yes, I'm doing great. Thanks be to God.
All right. What would you like to talk about? Anything in particular? My question of the day that I just posted was why do people believe in God? I'm sure you have a good answer for that, being you believe in God, right?
For sure, because God has revealed himself to us through general revelation, natural revelation, and divine revelation.
Now, what about you personally? Like, has he revealed himself to you personally?
Now, I do answer this question from Lou later on after this Catholic guy gets off.
Yes, through general revelation, he's revealed himself to all mankind. He's written it upon our very hearts, minds, and consciousness that he exists. Whereby,
so by this general revelation he's talking about the claims in the Bible. And you see, this is exactly why I say that the Torah, the Christian Bible, and the Quran are idols. Because as he is displaying, they say that the Bibles are the source of divine revelation. That is why he's calling it the general revelation, this, that, and the other, because to him and followers of Abraham, all divine revelation comes from the Bible. Now, a physical thing can never be the source of divine revelation. The source of divine revelation is divine sovereignty, which is our inseparable connection to the actual one true creator. And anytime you attempt to make a physical thing the source and claim it is the exclusive source, you then elevate a totem into an idol. And thus is the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran idols. Now, there's nothing wrong with a totem. Totems are beautiful things. Totems are meant to serve as inspiration for any looking upon it to search within for their own unique connection to the actual one true creator. But this is where the Abrahamic religions attempt to co-opt and manipulate co-creators into relinquishing your divine sovereignty unto the systems and establishments of the Abrahamic religions. And they do this by manipulating people into believing that divine revelation comes from a book instead of from something within themselves. That is the one thing that followers of Abraham absolutely cannot afford to have, is people realizing that divine revelation comes from within each one of us, from our connection to the one true creator. And this is why I say followers of Abraham incessantly attempt to interject divisions into that which is united.
no man has any.
Just reading, that's like a script to me. I'm being real and honest and straightforward. I'm curious because you're a person and I'm going to respect your beliefs. All right. But why? I'm asking, did God reveal himself to you personally, not generally, you know?
Yes, even from my earliest memory, I remember believing that God exists. And that's before I was ever told there was a God. So when I was like 3 or 4 years old, just looking around, like at nature and surroundings, I knew that there was some being that created it all.
Yeah, but that's so So let's say if I'm, you know, putting it on me, right, and taking it away from you for a second. I go out for a walk. I see trees. I see birds. I see, lots of stuff, natural stuff. You feel that is God, or that's God revealing Himself to me? Is that
Yes.
what you think?
Yes.
Now, but I don't think that way. So He's not revealing Himself to me. And I'm going to say, maybe He did reveal Himself to you, and maybe that's good for you. I get that. But when I take a walk and I see a tree, I don't know, that's God. No, I don't see it.
Well, in divine revelation, which is Holy Scripture, he makes it known that he confirms what I knew all along, which is that he's...
Now, see, that's a huge leap to go from, okay, I had a feeling that there was a God when I was a kid, or even a solid knowing that there's a God when I was a kid. That's a huge leap to go from that to go to, okay, now it has to be the Abrahamic God. And I throw my cards on the table. I got to do this for every video. I'm a non-Abrahamic true monotheist. Followers of Abraham are a blood cult of sin worshippers. Yahweh, Jesus, and Allah are desert war gods of hypocrisy, not the actual one true creator. And I call it the fractal singularity omnimatrix, is another term for it. I use 10 different traits to describe the one true creator. The first 5 are empirically proven. The second 5 are more metaphysical. And they are all in perfect order. So the order of them is important. So it's unity, consciousness, dark, light, and paradox. Then it goes freedom, sovereignty, infinity, remembrance, and saturation. And the fractal synthesis of the two is unity is freedom, consciousness is sovereignty, dark is infinity, light is remembrance, and paradox is saturation. Now, the second 5 within the Decalogue, they are all paradoxically driven. Okay, so that's a brief little overview of some of my beliefs. I was raised as pagan. I claimed spiritual from 15 to about 35 when I started thinking about it, because I've always thought about metaphysical stuff, but I really started thinking about it, and I looked within myself, and I do believe in a construct of the one true creator, but I do not come to my conceptions through the broken theology of Abraham, through the dogmas and scriptures of Abraham. I do not. And the only problem I have with followers of Abraham is that they have all kinds of scriptures which justify, demand, and command that they harm their fellow man for one reason or another. That's the only problem I have with it. And I will ask any followers of Abraham, will you disavow these handful of scriptures, which is overall a small percentage of your dogmas? Will you disavow these scriptures which call for you to harm and justify your fellow man? And most of them will say, no, we're not going to do that, because they know deep down that they are in a blood cult. And simply by disavowing even one single verse, their compatriots of their religion will want to kill them. And then they will use this soft language and say, well, there's no reason for me to disavow any of these verses. That was for then. This is for now. You got to take it in context. All this backpedaling soft language, which they're pretty much saying, I know better than the author that wrote that book. When they are saying that there are certain verses that they don't have to follow for this, that, or the other reason, what they're really saying is the all-knowing, all-powerful God didn't really write those. When you are not accepting the literal plain words in black and white right in front of you. because a small fraction of followers of Abraham are actually true believers. Most followers of Abraham are fake-ass believers. If you do not live, kill, and die exactly as prescribed by your chosen holy book, then you are not a true believer.
Gone ahead and made himself known to everyone, not only by writing himself and his laws upon our very conscience and being.
So that's claims. That's not. That is making claims upon claims. You cannot multiply claims upon claims and call it evidence or proof. That is just more claims.
But also with regards to everything that he's made, whereby on their day of judgment, no one will have any excuse.
And this is where they sell through fear and threats. Okay? But then they want to call it the God of love but how do you sell your religion is through fear and threats.
I just, to me, I mean, and I'm not trying to be harsh on you. I'm trying to actually be really light. To me, what you're saying is you believe certain things. Okay.
Yes, I do believe certain things.
Yes. You believe certain things.
Yes, I do. We all have beliefs.
I'm talking about something that is real, not a belief. All right. So I'm asking, did God come to you? All right. Not a book, right? Not a story, not an indoctrination, not a belief you had, not a vision you had, not a dream you had. I'm talking about, did God himself come to you?
Yes, he came to all mankind 2,000 years ago.
Spoiler alert, okay, he does have a story. He does have a story. But he plays coy for a little bit, acting like he doesn't know what the fuck Lou's talking about, but we get a story out of him.
As the person of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but you weren't around, were you?
Well, I think you asked if he came down to us, so...
no, I'm talking about, I didn't ask if it came down to people.
Well, he came down to me in that sense. In other words, I know that he came down as Jesus Christ because it's been revealed.
Because they told me so. Because it says so right here in this book about 100 different times.
Revealed, through his prophets that is what he would do, that God would come down.
Is that so? Take that claim up with some Jews like Tovia Singer. Take that claim up with people, Bible scholars, who have found, such as Justin from what is his channel? It's but Jesus did not fulfill one single prophecy. Not one. Jesus did not fulfill one single prophecy of the actual Jews.
And atone for our sins and save us. And we also have the testimony of his own apostles, his disciples, those who studied under his apostles and disciples. And we also have empirical...
that is not first-hand testimony. The books of Matthew, Luke, John, and what is it? Those books weren't actually written by his disciples. That they like to portray as if those books were written by his disciples, but they were not. They were not first-hand accounts. And then you have the one claim of 500 people. That is not the same as 500 different claims. That is one claim of 500 people. That is not the same thing.
Evidence of Jesus Christ. Like, for example, we have a photographic image of Jesus.
That's the shroud, supposedly, whatever. But you're still kind of, I mean, I don't know if you're getting what I'm asking as far as you.
I think
do you mean he magically appeared to me in my kitchen or something like that?
No. You yourself. Like, we're all human beings here, right? We got 3 humans on the stage here, right?
Yeah, I just answered your question. He didn't appear to me like in my kitchen, like in human form.
Okay, so what you have, if that didn't happen, right, and he's not speaking directly to you, right? What you have is a belief. That's what you have.
Well, no, I have knowledge because, again, from the very beginning, when I was a child, I knew that it was created by some being, and I knew that.
But that's a leap, though, to go from I had a feeling that something created these things to all of a sudden I know it was the Abrahamic gods because they told me so. That's a huge leap right there.
It would make sense, knowing that everything was created by some being, even though I wasn't told that some being created everything, that this being would make himself known to us at some time in history. And sure enough, we see evidence of that with regards to both natural revelation with everything that he's made and divine revelation, whereby he's spoken through his prophets, came down as himself as Jesus Christ, spoken to his apostles.
So by natural revelation, what it sounds like he's saying is that all the physical world that exists, so therefore to prove Jesus, just look at this thing right here. Look at the trees. That proves Jesus. But that is a non sequitur. That things exist does not prove that your particular God exists. Now, this is coming from a theist. I'm a non-Abrahamic true monotheist, and I do believe in a construct of God, but I do not believe in a supernatural God. There's no such thing as supernatural. Anything that happens is natural. Just because you may lack the naturalistic explanation to define that thing does not mean whatever thing is supernatural.
And his disciples, given us a church and Holy Scripture.
Yes, but I'm gonna, for the sake of this discussion, because I do disagree with you, but for the sake of this discussion, you're talking about him revealing himself to other people, not you directly.
Well, again, I've already said he didn't appear in my kitchen like in human form and say, "Poof, I'm the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm God." He didn't do that. No.
That would have went a long way, wouldn't it? Now, and he's asking that because some people have had experiences like that.
So are you willing to say that is your belief, or are you saying that this God is somebody, because he would be a person, that this God is somebody that you directly communicate with on a day in and day out basis?
Yes, I communicate with him, absolutely. And he's communicated with me as well, by the way.
Okay, and do you have any evidence of that, or is that just something we have to just believe?
Well, I don't have physical evidence of it, but I know what I witnessed.
Which is good.
And I wasn't the only one that witnessed it, by the way. Others witnessed it as well when it happened.
Yeah, but as what Lou was asking, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. This was back in 2002. I had broken my wrist. I fell off a ladder when I was painting my grandfather's home. And a buddy of mine, he told me about this place in Bayou Pigeon, Louisiana, where it's reported that many miracles were taking place. He said, "You never know. Hey, maybe if you go there, they pray the rosary on the first Saturday of each month." An old Catholic church used to stand there. So since then, it's been removed. There's a lot of reported miracles in that area. So I said, "Hey, why not?" At that time, I wasn't a devout Catholic like him and his father. But I said, "Hey, you know what? Why not? I'll take a leap of faith." So I went there, and was praying the rosary with the other people, a bunch of mostly older people, elderly people, a lot of old ladies. And as I was praying the rosary, I could smell roses. And I didn't know this at the time. But I was told afterwards that apparently when you smell roses, and there wasn't any roses anywhere around, by the way, when you smell roses while praying the rosary, it means that the Blessed Virgin Mary is nearby. The mother of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now, after praying the rosary, the one of those little old ladies was taking photographs, with one of those Polaroid, those Polaroid cameras that they'd had back then. None of the digital stuff.
I used them.
Yeah. So she said after taking photos of the surrounding area, like the statues, because it was near a cemetery, and again, where the old church used to be. But she was taking pictures of the sky too, and that's one of the reasons why I approached her, because I thought that was unusual. I was like, well, this is interesting. What is she doing? And what she told me is that things appear in the photos after taking the photos, unusual, what she would say miraculous things. So, I was a skeptic.
So now the same kind of phenomenon can happen with that happens on digital cameras as well, and that happens with all kinds of different people from different religions, capturing weird stuff on camera. And so now, if you say it's Jesus associated, then they'll say, oh, it's a miracle. But if you say it is not Jesus associated, they'll say, oh, it's demonic. So there's a lot of cognitive bias attached to the perception of any kind of weird phenomenon as such.
So can I take a look at some of them that you've taken previously, in previous months? So she handed me several of them, and I didn't go through all of them. I was just looking at the one on the top, the very top photo that was in my hand, and trying to make out what she was seeing, because she believed that it was a picture of a blue sky with clouds on the right hand side, and she thought the clouds took on the shape of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And I could kind of see it, but I was like, anybody could look at clouds and make out anything. What do you call that? Parabolia or whatever. So there's some term for that. I forget the name of the term. Yeah. So I said, okay, well, let me go ahead and bring this photo over to my buddy and his dad and see if they see. So about 4 or 5 minutes later, I did that. I went and bring it over to them. As soon as I walked up to them and showed them the photo, right at that very moment, there's these little black splotches that began to appear on the photo. It took maybe about 15, 20 seconds for me to make out what they were becoming. They became around, I don't know, I didn't count them, but it was around maybe, 7 or 10 crosses, Christian-shaped crosses. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And they saw it as well. They were shocked as well. So then I said, well, let me look on the other photos underneath. And same thing, all the photos, every single photo underneath that photo had those same crosses. I'm assuming they all appeared at the same time when the crosses appeared on that top photo. I don't know. I wasn't looking at the bottom photos. So that right there is an example.
Do you feel that the God did that?
Well, I believe that since we're praying the rosary and this occurred after we prayed the rosary, I believe that it points to that God. Could it be, the Q from Star Trek or some, demon? Maybe. But I believe that since we were praying the rosary that day, I believe it's pointing to that God.
Well, I would ask you, do you think it's possible? Forget about likely, because, I see where your mind is at. But do you think it's possible that there was a natural cause to this?
Well, could you tell me what natural cause would do that?
See, look, that's the thing right there. Could you tell me what it could be? Just because you don't know what a naturalistic explanation might be does not make it supernatural. Your inability to understand a naturalistic occurrence or event or phenomenon that is not supernatural. One not understanding something is not supernatural. That is entirely natural, and all we live in is nothing but a naturalistic world. Now, I do believe in the spirit world, but I know you're going to be like, Dan, you just said you don't believe in supernatural. I don't. The spirit world is entirely natural, and how I define the spirit world is all the energetic spectrums that are imperceptible to the human senses. That is simply what the spirit world is.
I can. What would that be?
Hey,
Robert might.
Yeah, that's a Polaroid picture sitting on an AC vent where it has individual crosses, and the AC vent cools the pack, cools the chemicals inside of there, and they develop slower. So whenever you take the image, you'll have a cross image that appears on them because they were sitting on the AC vent, and the individual crosses that run across them will wind up cooling specific areas inside of the pack. And then when you get the development, you'll see those will show up black, and it looks like a group of crosses that comes across the image. I mean, that's one simple explanation just with it sitting on an AC. But I think if you wanted a supernatural explanation, that's the easiest way to go for it.
Okay, but there's only one problem with your explanation.
Okay.
None of the photos that I was holding was sitting on an AC vent. It was sitting in my hand.
Well, I mean, for one, that could be just a change in temperature, because the AC vent is just an example of something that could change the temperature. But either way, even if you can't think of a naturalistic explanation, doesn't automatically devolve it into the realm of the supernatural.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we get these kind of claims. It's not just your religion. It's not just your faith that's producing these claims. And it's not just your faith that has produced them historically. So not even Christian religions, we get these kind of claims that people have talked to other gods. We get Dionysus. We get Saturn people.
That's God of the gaps right there all day long. I don't know how it happened, so God, just fill that gap in with God.
They're communing with their gods, having conversations with them, had supernatural experiences. So it's not that we just tacitly dismiss all of these claims. It's that what do we do with all of the claims?
So what I wanted to ask, but this guy kept fucking talking, not really leaving room for anyone else to talk, is would you accept that exact same phenomenon that happened in a different religion as evidence that verifies a different religion, or do you only accept that kind of phenomenon as confirming your own religion? And in that answer, we will find cognitive bias.
That were not even from your religion. They're from a totally different religion with a totally different God. How do we rectify them? Do we give them the same credence and say, oh, they must have been talking to Dionysus or to Saturn or to Thor or Wotan?
Well, do you know of any of these the other religions other than the Christian religion where scientists have analyzed these reported, quote, miracles, unquote, and found that it defies all naturalist explanation and all laws of physics?
Yeah, I don't know any, and I don't know any in yours either, that scientists have evaluated these in that way. I know a lot of them that people inside of religious claims have claimed that they are, but when you look at them closer, it's either not a scientific organization, it's a religious organization that was trying to promote their narrative. I mean, you take the Torah.
Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza, okay, he goes around doing group meditation practices that is not associated with any religion, okay, just the power of your mind. And the special thing about Dr. Joe Dispenza is he brings a team of scientists along with him to take actual verifiable, quantifiable readings of all of his sessions, okay, and he has empirically verified results through not using any religion, just intentionally using the power of mind with meditation. But I'm sure this guy would reject that, even though that's probably one of the most scientifically verifiable recorded phenomenon repeatedly that I know of. That doesn't mean that's all there is. That's just one that I'm very aware of right there, and that has nothing to do with any religion, just the power of your mind and intentionality within meditation.
The cloth that you were mentioning earlier, you mentioned that cloth, and that cloth has been rebutted on every single field, and it has failed at every scientific level to be the Shroud of Turin. Now, it has 3 marks against it, and let me tell you the 3 marks that it has against it. When it first showed up in the 1400s in the documentation, what we had was from the priest that was writing to the Pope, said that he spoke to the man that said he made the cloth and said that it is a fraud, and he wanted to make the Pope aware of it. The Pope said that it could be displayed as long as it was displayed that it wasn't authentic or real. So it was displayed in that manner. So the first time we ever had it show up in literature, it was a fake. Secondly, not only did we have the chemical analysis on the thing that showed what its dating was, and it dated it from the 1400th century, which is the third strike, but in fourth, inside of the scripture and inside of Josephus, where he talks about the burial tradition, he says that they placed a cloth upon the face so that the face would have a separate cloth that wasn't even with the rest of it. And this was confirmed in the book of John in chapter 7 and chapter 20, verse 7, that says Jesus had a cloth across his face that was set separate when it was folded. So this cloth cannot be. It just cannot be. This is three strikes against it. It's not authentic.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the cloth. The name of that cloth, that smaller cloth, is called the Sudarium cloth, and it actually does exist. And what they found is that the blood stains on the Sudarium cloth matches up exactly to the blood stains on the head region of the Shroud of Turin. And what they know is that that Sudarium cloth predates the supposed carbon dating test of the shroud by centuries, based on the historical accounts of the Sudarium cloth. So that shows that the Shroud of Turin would have to, hold on, I didn't interrupt you once, sir. Please be respectful.
Now he keeps saying that I didn't interrupt you, but also he does interrupt people. He actually does interrupt people as we go through here in hindsight, in retrospect. And also what he just said is that cloth predates the Cloud of Turin by hundreds of years. That proves that the two different materials were made at different times then. And he keeps saying that the blood on the cloth and the blood on the Shroud of Turin, I don't know, I don't want to comment on that because I didn't study that enough, but I mean, if you want to hang on to your Shroud of Turin, then who am I to stop you? But also at the same time, if that's enough evidence for you to capitulate to the broken theology of Abraham, then that's fine, but you can't expect that to be evidence for everyone else. But you Catholic traditionalists are just giving your personal perception, and that's fine.
So we know that the Shroud of Turin couldn't be only created at that point with regards to what the carbon dating test shows, since the Sudarium cloth's bloodstains match up exactly with the bloodstains on the Shroud of Turin.
And Brooklyn Lou looked this up later after this episode, and he said that the bloodstains actually did not match up exactly as this guy is saying right here.
Not only that, but the image on the Shroud of Turin is in the nanometer range. Scientists have tried to get image on cloths in the nanometer range. Some Italian scientists tried to attempt to do it recently, and they failed. They said it would take a far more powerful laser, which simply doesn't exist on Earth.
Bada bing, bada boom, it's a mystery. God of the gaps, sucker Jesus dick.
Today. So that right there also shows, something that scientists can't explain. There's no naturalistic explanation for the image itself.
Okay, just because you don't have the naturalistic literacy to describe something does not mean that the naturalistic explanation does not exist. We did not have the naturalistic explanation to describe all kinds of things until we did.
On the cloth. And also, with regards to your claim about the dating, a new dating test was done recently using wide-angle X-ray spectrometry, which did show that it dates back to the time of the cloth because it was able to negate certain fibers and that was found on the samples themselves that the scientists in 1988 didn't realize was there, the cotton fibers. The rest of the shroud doesn't have those cotton fibers. So the scientists theorized that this must be a weave job, like a repair job, where...
Well, it's funny because later on he's going to bring up the Big Bang and he does a false association fallacy later on, saying one scientist said that the Big Bang is just a theory, therefore all science is just a theory, is what he pretty much says later. But now he's saying a scientist theorized something, but But now that since the scientists that had this theory that confirms or seems to confirm his Shroud of Turin, but no, that's all perfectly acceptable. As long as it confirms what he wants to believe, then it's perfectly acceptable.
This was fixed, the corner of the shroud. That's where they took the samples from. And so that would throw off, they themselves, the scientists admit, that would throw off the carbon dating test.
Hey, Catholic traditionalist, is this the reason that you believe in God, that there's a shroud?
No, I already told you. You don't remember that when I was a child, when I was around 3 or 4 years old, just looking around at nature, I knew, not simply believed, but I knew that there must be some being that created everything. And that it was confirmed by, hold on, and that it was confirmed by Holy Scripture and the Church, by revelation from God, both natural revelation and divine revelation.
What makes a scripture holy?
What makes a scripture what?
Holy. What makes a scripture holy?
Well, holy is being set apart from the rest of the world. So God is set apart from the rest of the world because the world rejects.
So if God is set apart from the rest of the world, then God is not omnipresent.
Scripture.
So, and also...
You said holy scripture.
Yes, holy means set apart. That's what I'm telling you. Holy means set apart.
Scripture that you are reading.
No. Holy means created by God. All of that which is created by God is holy. And if God is the one true creator, and God created everything, then everything is holy. To say that there is something that is not holy is to say that there is something that God did not create. If there is a single quanta or a single void which God did not create, then there is no one true creator.
Is holy. Is anything that I read holy? Or is it just what you read?
I don't know what you read, but with regards to the word holy, it means set apart. And in other words, it's with God, being one with God, set apart from the world. Because the world is a creation, God is not a creation; He is the creator.
So if I read a book, let's say.
So that's the divisions. That's the divisions right there. Followers of Abraham are incessantly attempting to interject division unto that which is united. If God is a perfect creator, then any creation is as well a perfect creation. A perfect creator can only produce perfect creations. If there is an imperfect creation, then that is the fruit of, that is evidence of an imperfect creator.
On physics, right? Is that holy or not holy?
No, it would not be divinely inspired. No. What God has gone ahead and revealed is divinely inspired because it's from God. And again, so God is set apart from the rest of the world.
Disregard physics when I read in a holy book that a man rose from the dead and went into the sky and is now controlling the universe. I can just accept that holy book and disregard the physics book because the physics book isn't holy, right?
Well, that's what I just told you. The physics book is not holy. Correct. The physics book is not holy. The science books are simply mankind's attempt to explain reality around him. Mankind admits, scientists admit that with regards to their science books, they can always. Well, hold on, sir. You asked me questions. I'm trying to give you an answer.
Yeah, but you're going round and round and round.
Well, you don't want me to answer the question you just posed?
I want you to answer directly.
That's what I'm attempting to do, but you're interrupting me.
It's my channel, my friend.
So since it's your channel, it's okay to be rude?
I'm not being rude.
We're not being rude.
Well, interrupting someone as they're answering your question is...
Now, okay, all this talk about rudeness, yet... he plays this semantic game here in a little bit, and then before allowing everyone to answer this semantic game, as soon as I start giving him answers he doesn't like, he just straight up bounces. All this talk about rudeness, this is gaslighting. Okay, this is projection on his part. This is not intellectual honesty on his part.
As you, a person who thinks that a physics book isn't holy, and that
Now keep in mind that his main argument, his main point from his last argument is that some scientists had a theory about the Shroud of Turin. So he's perfectly willing to lean on a scientific theory in order to prove his last point of the Shroud of Turin. But when it comes to uh, any other scientific theories, he is very much ready to entirely dismiss them.
I'm to believe a book that tells me that defies physics. You're saying I should accept the example from the holy book instead of the physics book. I mean, are you not telling me that?
Yeah, so what I was trying to explain to you before you interrupted me is that scientists themselves admit that with regards to anything in their books, that it's not true.
No, that is not accurate whatsoever. Because here in a minute he goes on to say that this one scientist said that this one particular theory isn't 100% accurate. Therefore, this is the argument he makes in a minute. Therefore, all science isn't accurate. That is a false association fallacy.
They're not making truth claims. In other words, any theories that they put forward is not a truth because they themselves admit that theories can be altered or even changed or even done away with completely given new information over time.
And there's a difference between a theory and an empirically verified scientific fact, but he conflates the two.
Correct, and they don't admit. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dirk.
So you're implying that the Bible is the truth, then, right?
No, I'm explicitly stating the Bible is the truth.
Okay, so if I can find things within the Bible that are clearly proven to not be true, then that would disprove that claim, because that is a claim that you're making that the Bible is true. And so if the Bible is true, I should not be able to find one single thing within the Bible that is untrue, right?
Well, there might be like a scribe error, something to that effect. But with regards to the stories of the Bible, those stories are true.
Okay, well, there's a problem with that. Because there's definitely some archaeological, some scientific, and some historical things stated in the Bible that are empirically proven to be untrue.
Such as?
The Bible claims that Egypt was barren for 40 years. That is proven to not be true.
All right, now let's get into my notes here. I didn't have all my notes with me at the time. I really got to get my book wrote because that is exactly. I'm writing a book called The Big Beautiful Book of Defiance of the Broken Theology of Abraham, and it will have all this shit in there. It'll be pretty much an index of disproofs of the Abrahamic theology. So right here we had number 1, solid firmament, dome holding waters above the earth, in Genesis 6:1-8. Also implied in Psalm 148:4, Isaiah 40:22, as circle with tent like heavens. Literal claim: the sky is a solid, hammered out structure separating waters below from waters above, like a bronze mirror. Empirical contradiction: the atmosphere is a gaseous layer. Beyond it is near vacuum space. No solid dome or upper waters exists. This matches ancient Near Eastern cosmology, not modern astronomy. Methodology: comparative ancient Near Eastern texts, modern atmospheric science, satellite imagery, and space exploration. Number 2, global flood covering all mountains, destroying all life except for ark survivors. Genesis 6:9. Literal claim: worldwide deluge, 4,300 to 5,000 years ago, with ark preserving all animal kinds. Empirical contradiction: No single global sediment layer or mass extinction event at that time. Continuous civilizations have uninterrupted records and archaeology spanning the period. Insufficient water on Earth for such coverage. Tree rings, ice cores, coral reefs, and lake varves show no disruption. Flood geology is classified as pseudoscience. Methodology: geological stratigraphy and radiometric dating. Paleontology: historical archaeological records of unaffected cultures. Hydrological calculations: volume of water needed versus available. Number 3, we have geocentric solar system, sun, moon, stop or move across sky. Joshua 10:12 through 13. Fuck that word. I don't know how to pronounce that word right there. Literal claim. Sun and moon orbit a stationary Earth. God halts their motion. Empirical contradiction. Heliocentric model. Earth rotates and orbits the sun. Halting rotation would cause catastrophic global effects. Methodology: astronomical observations, spacecraft data, physics of rotation and orbit, cross-cultural records. Okay, number 4, biological classification errors. Leviticus 11:6, hare chews the cud. 11:13 through 19, bat as bird, and so on. Literal claim: animals classified by observable traits. Empirical contradiction: hares do not ruminate. Bats are mammals, not birds. Methodology: comparative anatomy, genetics, and zoological observation. Other examples: Earth created before sun, flat Earth implications in some poetic passages, follow similar patterns but are often defended as non-literal. So anytime you say something is not literal in the Bible, what you are really saying is that you know better than the author of that book, which is very well true. You very well could know better, but the problem arises when you say the author of that book is the all-knowing, ever-present God, all-knowing, all-powerful, eternal God. That's where the problem arises. So historical and archaeological claims. Scholarly consensus holds that the Pentateuch and early historical books blend theological narrative, ideological myths, and some historical kernels, but many large-scale events lack support or contradict evidence. Mass exodus of 2 to 3 million Israelites from Egypt, 40-year Sinai wandering, plagues, Red Sea crossing, literal claim, enslaved Hebrews, 600,000 plus fighting men flee en masse, wander Sinai, conquer under Joshua. Empirical contradiction: no Egyptian records of such an event, no archaeological traces of large population in Sinai. Desert could not sustain millions. Israelites emerge gradually from Canaanite culture. Small-scale Semitic migrations possible, but nothing matching the scale claimed. Methodology: Egyptian inscriptions, Sinai excavations and surveys, no campsites, pottery, etc. for proposed periods. Demographic studies, logistics impossible. Merneptah, steel, Israel already in Canaan, 1208 BC. Number 2, conquest of Canaan, rapid destruction of cities by invading Israelites. Literal claim: walls of Jericho fall, cities burned and conquered, 1400 through 1200 BC. Empirical contradiction: Jericho destroyed 1550 BCE. Wrong date, no walls, then per Kenyon. AI abandoned centuries earlier. Many sites show no destruction or gradual settlement from within Canaan. No widespread invasion layer. Methodology: excavations and radiocarbon dating of destruction layers. Settlement pattern surveys. Number 3, United Monarchy. Vast empire under David and Solomon with Grand Jerusalem capital. Literal claim: Powerful kingdom ruling large territory, monumental buildings, temple. Empirical contradiction. 10th century Jerusalem was a small village, Judah sparsely populated and unfortified. No monumental architecture or evidence of empire. Methodology. Jerusalem excavations. Regional surveys. Absence of expected administrative records or trade evidence. Anachronisms and specific errors. Camels and patriarchal narratives. Genesis 12:24. Abraham, 1800 BC. Widespread domestication only 10th through 9th century BCE. Methodology. Zooarchaeology. Philistines in Canaan during Patriarch's Exodus. 1200 BCE, after Sea Peoples invasions. Methodology. Egyptian records and archaeology. Eye destruction. Biblical timing 1250 BCE, site destroyed 2400 BCE, and unoccupied. Methodology. Excavation dating. Census Quirinius and Herald timing. Quirinius census AD 6. Herodot died 4th century BCE. Thaddeus Judas order reversed. Methodology. Roman records. Josephus inscriptions. Additional notes on methodology overall. Archaeology. Systematic excavations. Carbon-14. Thermoluminescence dating. Pottery typology. Settlement surveys. Inscriptions. History. Cross-referencing with Egyptian, Assyrian, Babylonian, and Greek records. Science. Radiometric dating. Genetics. 6,000 years ago. Paleoclimatology. Arguments from silence are strong only when records or traces should exist. Egyptian bureaucracy, Sinai logistics. So that right there, I didn't have my notes with me at that time, which fucking sucks, but there's that.
Where's that at in the Bible?
I don't know the exact verse, but it's in there. Do you not know it?
Well, okay. Well, I can't just go ahead and take your word for it. I need evidence if you're going to go ahead and make claims.
I don't really take the word of a book just because it's sent. So
but you don't believe in any god or gods, correct?
But we're in the same position. You don't accept, right? That this is in the book until you see it, right? But I'm supposed to accept a book is holy, and
Ezekiel chapter 29, verse 11 through 12 says that it was barren for 40 years.
Where is it, Ezekiel?
Ezekiel chapter 29, verse 11 through 12.
Okay, well then that's the truth if that's the case.
But then it just is. It doesn't matter what we find scientifically. It doesn't matter. It's just wrong. Because that thing is just intrinsically true. That's brainwashing.
Yes, but scientists themselves admit that with regards to science, they're not putting forth truth claims. Whereas with the Bible, God is revealing truth claims. I don't know why you keep saying that.
Show me. We showed you where you said. So you showed me where scientists collectively say that, please.
Yes. In fact, like for example, I was listening to Coast to Coast Radio the other night with George Norrie, and Michio Kaku was on there. Are you familiar with Dr. Michio Kaku?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a.
Robert said, tell me collectively, not tell me anecdotally, where one said one thing about one certain aspect of science, which is with theories. And that's why they are called theories. It is widely accepted that a theory is not, that is different. A fucking scientific theory is different from archaeological verified historical findings.
Yeah, he's a very famous physicist. And he himself admitted, because George Norrie always asks these questions about the Big Bang and about science and so forth. And Dr. Michio Kaku admitted that with regards to the Big Bang and other theories, that these are not truth claims, that science does not put forth truth claims as if these are dogmas revealed, like divine dogmas. Because he was speaking, he was making the case that theories, which other scientists, not just him, Lawrence Krauss said the same thing, Dr. Lawrence Krauss, that with regards to theories, they're just that, theories. It's just mankind's attempt.
Yes, there's a difference between a scientific theory and an empirically verified fact. There's a big difference between that.
At explaining the world around them, not that their explanation is a definite truth, because again, theories can be altered. Scientists admit this. They can be altered, changed, or even done away with, whereby new information is obtained. So nobody in science is putting forth a divine dogma truth claim.
There's a difference between a scientific theory and historically proven facts. And it is a historically proven fact that Egypt was not barren for 40 years.
Well, how do you know that tomorrow they won't find more evidence that shows that it was barren?
Well, there goes the cognitive bias. So you will accept evidence that seems to corroborate your Bible. You'll accept that evidence, right? But you won't accept evidence that disproves the Bible. Oh, okay. So the evidence that proves what you already think is good evidence, and that's reliable evidence, right? But any evidence disproving what you believe, that is totally unreliable evidence. Okay, we're getting at it here now.
But it's not, and also they have not found any.
I just asked you a question. You're just saying it is not. How do you know that they won't find tomorrow evidence that it was barren?
It is the methodology with which they have discovered. It is the I get into all that.
How do you know that?
I don't think he knows that.
There is no evidence.
The same way you knew at 3 years old that you just had to be a creator.
So you're saying there is no evidence. You're saying there is no evidence. You know definitely that there is no evidence. That's like saying, I know definitely there is there's not any gold on Mars because there's no evidence there's gold on Mars.
There's no
That's a fucking false equivalency fallacy, bro.
definitive claim being made. The claim being made is that there is no evidence. That's not definitive. There might become evidence.
Exactly. That's my point. There might be evidence. So therefore, when he says he knows definitely that this is not the case, he doesn't really know.
I don't think he said he knew that.
Yes,
No, I do. I you're not helping, Lou. You're not helping.
Yeah, the word knowledge came out of his. He said no. He knows that's not the case. That's what he said.
You know that in the future, that no evidence might.
So you see what I'm saying? This guy was all about don't interrupt me, but he's an interrupting ass motherfucker. He done cut me off like 2 or 3 times when I was trying to talk.
I'm not talking about that guy. I'm not talking about Robert. I'm talking about Dark Light. Dark Light said he knows that's not the case.
He's talking about what we know now.
Great. So he knows. No, but I asked him, how about tomorrow?
That happen in the future. I don't think.
But you didn't hear the question I posed to him, apparently, because I said, how do you know tomorrow there won't be evidence that will come into light, which shows that that is the case and proves the Bible right? He said, oh, because I know that's not the case.
No, because you fucking cut me off, you fucking cunt. And you didn't give me a chance to explain why I know. You cut me off. But no, don't interrupt you, but you can go around interrupting everyone else. Okay.
Hey, let him speak for himself. I don't want to.
This issue has been studied. They studied.
See?
Was
I told you he's defending it. He's defending it.
You goddamn straight I am, because there is scientific methodology that has proven that Egypt was not fucking barren for 40 years. You have all the corroborating records of all the countries and nations around Egypt. This fucking cunt keeps cutting me off, dude.
Let me ask this question to Dark, trying to reframe what you were saying, and maybe it might mean something different, all right, to him. But Dark, are you saying that in the future there could not be evidence that comes forth that would indicate something different than what scientists know today?
I'm saying in regards to Egypt, it was studied and it was found that Egypt was never barren for 40 years.
I agree.
He didn't answer your question. You didn't answer your question, Brooklyn.
I'm going back.
I did answer his fucking questions. That in regards to fucking Egypt.
I think we all agree with that. I think even Catholic traditionalists might agree that there is no, this is not what we know, right? But he's saying that, well, how do you know in the future something might happen that would change that science? And I'm saying
it has been studied. Archaeological evidence has been studied. They have records from all the surrounding countries and cities around Egypt, which confirm from outside sources that Egypt was never barren for 40 years. So to answer your question directly, no, I do not think it is possible that tomorrow they're all of a sudden going to discover that it was barren for 40 years. But you're not going to accept that, I know. But you were asking me if I believe it's possible that tomorrow that they will discover that it was barren for 40 years. And I'm telling you, no, I do not believe that is possible, that tomorrow they're going to discover that.
Now, no scientist, no credible scientist would ever say what Dark Light just said.
See, that's a false equivalency fallacy. He is taking this one statement from one or two scientists regarding a fucking theory about the Big Bang and applying it to all science everywhere. It's a false equivalency fallacy, you fucking cunt.
Because scientists have an open mind whereby they're always open to new evidence.
Okay, and are you open to any Bible that's contradictory?
I can't.
Yeah, you keep cutting me off, you fucking cunt. I should have been way more rude with this guy.
You guys are talking over each other. I can't hear what you're saying.
Are you open to any evidence that the Bible is contradictory?
Well, I just asked Dark Light. Obviously, I'm open because I just asked Dark Light to make his case.
He gave you one explanation. How about one that wouldn't be contradictory with science? It's contradictory with itself. Could both of the things be true? If they're mutually exclusive incompatibilities?
I don't know what you just asked. Something about something being contradictory with itself.
Let me give you a primary example. If I say there is a cubical sphere, can a cubical sphere exist? If a sphere is by definition something that has no corners on it, and a cube is by definition, something that has the 8 corners on it. Can it be a cubical sphere? These things seem contradictory. They can't coexist. Am I right?
And you're asking if a cube can be a sphere?
Right.
As far as our reality, from our standpoint, no.
So if there's things in the Bible that it can't be both this way and that way, would you say that without any scientific explanation, that it just can't be, that's an error?
Now, I got one on this. I am theist, and there are actually scientifically verified contradictions. Not all contradictions are created equal. You have contradictions that are easily disproven, but you also have contradictions that are scientifically proven, such as the wave particle duality within atoms. It can be both a wave and a particle simultaneously. So there are
dependent on observation, though. That's the state of observation. It could be in this state of observation, or that's a state of observation, and it's acting like a particle or acting like a wave. But it depends on the type of observation.
Yeah. So
yeah,
you go ahead.
I was just saying there are verified not all contradictions are created equul. There are
sure. I agree to that.
Like the one you just put forward, that's easily disprovable contradiction, but there are scientifically verifiable contradictions. But the contradictions you're asking about aren't the scientifically verifiable ones. You're talking about the ones in the Bible, which are not scientifically verifiable.
Okay.
Are you asking me about suspending the laws of physics? Is that what your question is in regards to?
No, I'm saying, let's say, for example, let's get down to the nitty gritty, and let's say Matthew chapter 27 verse 50 suggests that the cloth that divides the temple, that it ripped in half, and then Luke 23 and 45 says this, and these are two different gospel accounts, and one says that it happened.
There is 700 different verified contradictions in the Christian Bible, and the Christian Bible by far has the most contradictions out of any of the Abrahamic religions. I believe the Quran has the least amount of contradictions, and I forget the exact number, but it's still at least, I think it's just under 100 in the Quran, and the Torah is in the middle ground. I forget I need to look up the exact numbers of contradictions in them again. But either way, the Quran and Torah put together, the contradictions in those are still not even half of the contradictions in the Christian Bible. The Christian Bible by far has the most verified contradictions.
Before Jesus died, and the other says that it happened after Jesus died, that it was rent in half. So is this a problem? Did somebody just mess the story up? Does one of them get it wrong?
I'd have to go back and look at it. From my understanding, some gospels may not mention something, and other gospels may mention something, but I'd have to take a look at that to see. I can't comment on it unless I take a look at it. Now, you don't believe in any god or gods now, do you?
Right, I don't. And I believe that specifically the Bible is one of the worst consistencies. Like the Quran is more consistent than the Bible. But I think
100%.
that's expected because the Quran is written by, more of a singular person, whereas the Bible's written by multiple different people. So contradictions and differences, they're not univocal. People have different opinions. I don't think that God's sitting on their shoulder moving their pen. So contradictions from multiple authors is expected.
Yeah. Now, let's say I define God generally as just an intelligent agent, that has the power and ability to, let's say, instantiate and oppose all states of affairs. It didn't have a beginning like you and I. In other words, not a created being. You don't have positive belief in that God, right?
Right, and I don't think that God, what we generally refer to as the philosopher's God, is rectifiable to the God of the Bible. So I think what apologists argue is they argue the philosopher's God, and they start doing PSR, principle sufficient reason, or they start doing this first cause argument, and none of this is biblical argument. None of this is Bible argument. So they're trying to rectify. I could do the same thing that you did when I looked around when I was 3 or 4 years old and said something had to have created this, therefore Toodles, the penguin, invented all this. And there's nothing that can connect, that can devalidate that except a belief in a different, it's some other thing must have did it. It wasn't Toodles. It was JoJo, the turtle at the very bottom of all the turtles, right? I mean, there's no particular reason you can connect your God to that proposition that something had to have made all this. Even if we granted you that, you can't just shove your God in that place and say, it was ours, instead of the flying spaghetti monster or any other satirical or any other, traditionally worshipped God.
Well, I could, and this is how I would do it. Okay. Because God went ahead and revealed that he is an intelligent agent,
The Bible claims so it's got to be true, right? Okay.
A thinking being who has the power to...
And I've already went through this list right here of scientific, archaeological, and historical falsehoods contained within the Bible. I went through our list right here. And the thing is, the problem is when you say the Bible is true, that means it is 100% true and consistent and streamlined. And that is not what we observe. Now, I know I mentioned that there are 700 contradictions. I have a list of 100 on my notes on my post for my channel. I don't want to cut to it right now because it'll take me a little bit to scroll through and find it. I should have posted it on here so I could scroll up through it real quick. But just real quick, let's do this right here. If you don't fucking mind scrolling with me for a second, and this will just take a minute. Okay. I'll get it quicker going this way than scrolling to my notes. Oh, okay. Here we go. We got some contradictions. Order of creations. Animals versus humans. Genesis 1. Animals were created first, then humans. Genesis 2. Man was created first, then animals, then woman from his rib. Number 2. Number of animals taken into the ark. Genesis 6:19 through 20. 2 of every kind, male and female. Genesis 7:2 through 3. 7 pairs of clean animals and birds. So which was it? 2 of every kind or 7 of every kind? Who incited David to take a census? 2 Samuel 24:1. God incited David. 1 Chronicles 21:1. Satan incited David. Or was God Satan? Is that what you're trying to say? No? Oh, okay, because those are two polar different beings who incited David. Okay. Number of fighting men in Israel from census. 2 Samuel 24:9. 800,000 in Israel plus 500,000 in Judah. 1 Chronicles 21:5. 1,000. Oh shit. No, not 1,000. That's 1,100,000 in Israel plus 47 470,000 in Judah. I'm a fucktard, y'all. Sorry. God made me this beautiful. He made me look like this beautiful, so he couldn't make me too smart. But I'm smart enough to know there's some fucking contradictions in the Bible. When was the temple curtain torn relative to Jesus' death? Matthew 27:50 through 51. Mark 15:37 through 38. Jesus dies, then the curtain tears. Luke 23:45 through 46. Curtain tears, then Jesus dies. So which was it? Did the curtain tear before or after Jesus died? Did the women tell others about the empty tomb? Matthew 28:8. Mark 16:8. Original ending. Luke 24:9. Yes, they reported it. Mark 16:8. Some manuscripts' earliest ending. They said nothing to anyone out of fear. Okay. How many blind men at Jericho? Matthew 20:29 through 30. 2 blind men. Mark 10:46 and Luke 18:35 through 43. 1 blind man. Okay. Who killed Goliath? 1 Samuel 17. David kills Goliath. 2 Samuel 21:19. Ahanan, son of Jar Oregim, killed Goliath. Okay. Did God repent or regret? Genesis 6:6, Exodus 32:14, 1 Samuel 15:35. God repents, regrets. Number 23:19, 1 Samuel 15:29. God does not repent. Okay. How many stalls for horses in Solomon's temple complex? 1 Kings 4:26. 40,000 stalls. 2 Chronicles 9:25. 4,000 stalls. That's quite a big fucking difference. Did God just forget to write an extra 0 right there? Did Jesus carry his own cross? Kind of a big deal, you would think, right? John 19:17. Jesus carried his own cross. Mark 15:21. Matthew 27:32. Luke 23:26. Simon of Cyrene carried it for him. Okay. Time of day the tomb was visited. Mark 16:2 after sunrise. John 21 while it was still dark. There's way more than this. I had a list of 100 out of fucking 700. There's way more. Way fucking more than 12, bro. And you notice up here, I had to write, proven contradictions in the Bible do not provide apologetic bullshit. Just give the contradictions. That's because Grok is always fucking running apologetics, man. It's so fucking annoying, bro. Genealogy of Jesus. Joseph's lineage. Matthew 1:1-17 traces through Solomon. Jeconiah. Joseph with 28 generations from David to Jesus. Luke 3:23-38 traces through Nathan, different names. Joseph with 43 generations from David to Jesus. I guess God forgot who all the lineage went through and how many generations when he went and wrote this. The lineages diverge completely after David and cannot both be accurate for the same person. When did Jesus' parents flee to Egypt? Matthew 2:13-15. Immediately after the Magi visited, they flee to Egypt to escape Herod. Luke 2:22-39. They go to Jerusalem for purification and presentation at the temple 40 days after birth, then return to Nazareth. No mention of Egypt or the flight. Who was Joseph's father? Matthew 1:16. Jacob was Joseph's father. Luke 3:23. Heli was Joseph's father. I guess God forget who Joseph's father was. Or maybe Heli was Joseph, right? How did Judas die? Matthew 27:5. Judas hangs himself. Acts 1:18. Judas falls headlong. His body bursts open and his intestines fill out. Because we all know that's what happens when you just fall, right? You just fucking explode. So, I guess Judas hung himself, but then he came back to life just so he could fall headlong and explode. What was written on the cross? Matthew 27:37. This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Mark 15:26. The King of the Jews. Luke 23:38. This is the King of the Jews. I mean, close enough, right? They were close enough. John 19:19. Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. So which was it? So if any, there's two that. Oh no, none of them agree. None of them are exactly the same. This is Jesus, the King of the Jews, compared to this is the King of the Jews. None of them are the same. So which one's lying? Or did it say all of these on there simultaneously? Okay, how many women went to the tomb? Matthew 28:1, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary. See, I'm pissed off I didn't have my fucking notes for this fucking cockchugger, bro. This guy was pissing me off, dude. Mark, he was so fucking smug, man. I fucking hate that shit. Mark 16:1, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Salome. Luke 24:10, Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James and the others. A big old crowd right there. John 21, Mary Magdalene alone. So you go from 2 to 3 to a big old fucking crowd to just one. They play the whole fucking gambit. So you get the fucking point. I mean, there's more. I mean, this is just 25. I had a list of 100. There is definitely more. Look, how many angels at the tomb? Matthew 28:2-5. And how many of these ridiculous contradictions do you need? There are 700 of them. There are at least 100. I mean, I had a list of 100 of them. Watch. Let's go. More biblical contradictions. Okay, time of Jesus' crucifixion. Mark 15:25. Jesus was crucified at the 3rd hour, about 9 a.m. John 19:14-16. It was about the 6th hour. About noon, when Pilate sentenced Jesus, what Jesus said on the cross. You would think that would be pretty fucking important to remember and get right. So let's see what it is. Matthew 27:46 and Mark 15:34. My God, why have you forsaken me? Then Jesus dies shortly after. Luke 23:46. Father, in your hands I commend my spirit. Last words right before death. John 19:30. It is finished. Last words before death. So the apologetics will probably say he said all of that. Oh, okay. Then why weren't they all in each one? Okay. Did Jesus tell his disciples to take a staff or not on their mission? Mark 6:8, take a staff. Matthew 10:9 through 10. And Luke 9:3, do not take a staff. Now, did he say do not take a staff just because there was two of them as opposed to one? But even so, that one would be false, inherent falsehoods within the Bible. How many donkeys did Jesus ride into Jerusalem? Mark 11:7, Luke 19:35, one colt, a young donkey. Matthew 21:2 through 7, two animals, a donkey and her colt. Jesus rides both. Oh, who appeared to the women at the tomb, and how many? Okay, that's the same one we already did, pretty much. Where did Jesus first appear to the disciples after resurrection? Matthew 28:16 through 20, in Galilee. Luke 24:33 through 49, in Jerusalem, the same day as resurrection in a room. John 20:19 through 23, in Jerusalem, in a locked room, evening of resurrection day. All kinds of different information going on here. Did the risen Jesus eat food? Luke 24:41 through 43. Yes, he eats broiled fish in front of them. John 21 has him eating, but other accounts, Mark 16, original ending, did not mention it, and some imply a spiritual body that does not eat. Corinthians 15:50, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom. How did the temple pillars' height compare? 1 Kings 7:15, each pillar 18 cubits high. 2 Chronicles 3:15, each pillar 35 cubits high. Did Jesus' disciples understand his predictions of death? Mark 9:31 through 32 and Luke 9:44 through 45. They did not understand and were afraid to ask. But yet in Matthew 16:21 through 23, Peter understands enough to rebuke Jesus about it. Now, how many of these do you guys need? How many of these biblical contradictions do you guys need? God damn, it pisses me off I didn't have this fucking shit for this fucking cocksucker when we were doing this, man. Fucking smug ass motherfucker, dude.
He is an intelligent agent, a thinking being who has the power to instantiate and impose all states of affairs as the creator, the ultimate creator. And that he didn't have a beginning like you and I. He's not a created being. So he fits that definition that I gave of a general God.
Right. Most gods have that claim. I mean, there's many gods that have that claim, even most of the satirical gods. I mean, there was not a beginning to his noodly appendage, even in a satirical sense, much less those that came out of the primordial waters or whatnot of Egypt, that the primordial waters were constantly existed, and Ra finally emerged forth from the infinite primordial waters. Or you look at the gods of India. I mean, their god Brahma, right? This is just forever. It just always has been the case. So how do you substantiate that is not the God that created everything? Why wasn't it Brahman?
Yeah, well, because remember, you said that the general definition I gave to a God does not fit the biblical God, but I just showed you how the biblical God does fit that general God.
How did you?
And now, with regards to the other gods that you bring up, these gods are not eternal gods. Instead, they had a beginning. Like, for example, this turtle is a created turtle. Didn't exist for all eternity.
You don't know that. You didn't ask the turtle. You didn't ask Lou what are the attributes and the time frame of his magical turtle. You just assumed that. You fuck ass honky.
I didn't. It wasn't the ultimate with regards to creating all turtles and all humans.
How would you know? You didn't ask Lou. You're just assuming attributes about Lou's magical turtle. You fuck ass honky.
Nor was Zeus or Aphrodite or who is it? Odin. None of them. They all had beginnings.
Zeus's father was, though. Chaos was for eternal.
Okay, but with regards to chaos, we see that chaos is not. Wasn't who was chaos? Which one was that?
He was like a titan. He was the father of Zeus. He was the one that eat all the babies when they bring the babies to.
Okay. Don't we see that the Zeus and the others that lived in that whatever place that's called
Mount Olympus?
Didn't they defeat the Titans?
Yeah, I don't think he was.
Okay, so that God, right? So that God would not fit the definition I gave to the one true God because
well, then neither would Jesus, because Jesus was defeated. Oh, I know you'll say, but he was resurrected. Oh, if he was resurrected, I know there's claims of his resurrection, but if he was resurrected, then he didn't really sacrifice anything. If he was resurrected, then he was just live action role playing as a sacrifice.
One true God is the ultimate with regards to instantiating and imposing all facts. So it would be impossible.
The one true God, you would not be able to find a single falsehood about. And there are plenty of falsehoods regarding Jesus and Yahweh and Allah.
Possible for Zeus to defeat that God.
Yeah, there's no reason to think that God in the Bible instantiates all facts. There's just no reason to think.
Well, no, we're talking about with regards to the gods you brought up. I'm just showing you asked me about the gods you brought up. I'm showing you how they would not fit that definition I gave to a general, all-knowing, all-creator God.
Yeah, and neither the fuck would Yahweh, Jesus, or Allah.
That instantiate imposes all states of affairs. Whereas the God of the Bible actually reveals that he is that God. He reveals that he's the one that...
Yeah, he claims that he is all-knowing. He claims that he is omnipresent. He claims that he is all-powerful. Yet, there are scriptures and verses in which this is proven to not be true. All right, let's go. I had this shit pulled up the other day in regards to a totally different... No, not that one. Not that one. Must have been this one right here. Yeah, this one right here. Yep, this is the one. Okay, so let's talk about the omni attributes, shall we? Okay, so the omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence, omnibenevolence, okay, claims that the Abrahamic God is all-powerful. Is anything too hard for the Lord? Genesis 18:14, Job 42:2. I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. Jeremiah 32:17. Ah, sovereign Lord, You have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for you. Okay, no, nothing at all ever. All right, we're about to see. Jesus looked at them and said, with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Revelation 19:6. Whatever the fuck that word is. For the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. Okay, so omnipotence, all powerful. And let's come down here. Yep, right here. Verses which prove that God is not all powerful. If you can do all things, okay. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin so grievous that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. Well, but if you were all knowing, then you would know right away. And if you were omnipresent, you would be there immediately and would not have to go down there. And I know Christians like to play this game of, oh, that wasn't literal, that they were just saying that. Okay, so when you make that claim, what you're also saying is those words right there in clear black and white are not written by the all-knowing, all-powerful God. Obvious, if the all-knowing, all-powerful God did exist, then he would exist at all times in all places simultaneously, and there would be no outcry that has reached him, as he is everywhere, and he would not have to go down somewhere. Okay, Genesis 3:8-9. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of day, and they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord called to the man, where are you? But an all-knowing, ever-present, all-powerful God would know exactly where they are. And also, I believe there's other verses where it says God is not corporeal. God does not have a form. But then in this right here, it is saying that God was making sounds of walking. Okay, Genesis 11:5. 11:5. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. Okay, so if he was all present, he wouldn't need to come down. He would already be there. Genesis 20:12. Abraham's sacrifice of Isaac. Do not lay a hand on the boy, he said. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son. But if he was all knowing, he would not have had to test Abraham as such, because he would have already known. Yes or no? Or no or yes? Okay. But see, now if the Bible were true, then it would be completely streamlined. I wouldn't be able to find one single thing, yet I have gone over a gambit of evidence. Omniscience, the claim of all-knowingness, okay? Psalm 147:5. Great is our Lord and mighty in power. His understanding has no limit. Isaiah 46:9-10. I am God, and there is no other. I am God, there is none like me. I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. From ancient times to what is still to come. Hebrews 4:13. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. Everything is laid bare except for where Adam and Eve was hiding in them trees over there. Everything is made bare except for the outcries that he had to hear about Sodom and Gomorrah, and he had to go down. That wasn't quite made bare to him. So, oh, the depth of the richness of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable his judgments and his paths beyond tracing out. Okay. So that was all-knowingness. And now let's compare that. I think that first one I did was the all-knowing part. And the shit, I already had a bunch of this written out. I already did a bunch of this for a goddamn that's just some more examples right there. That's just some more examples. And let me see here. Okay, these are some verses in which Jesus called for hate and violence. Okay. Luke 14:26. If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. But yet, that is not evidence of an all-loving God. That is evidence of an omni-malevolent God. An omni-benevolent God would say, the only way to love me is to love your father, love your mother, love your brothers and your sisters, love yourself. That is the only way to love me. That is not logically consistent. Matthew 10:34 through 36. Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to turn man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. And that one verse right there disproves the claim that Jesus is the Prince of Peace. The Prince of Peace would unite, not divide. This here verse explicitly cites division. And I know you will have your apologetics, this is what I'm saying. Unless I tell it not to give apologetics, it'll give apologetics for it. The sword is metaphorical for division and conflict. Oh, okay, but what you're saying, once again, when you say that verse doesn't really mean what it clearly says, it means some other kind of meaning that I'm laying over it in order to make it more coherent. What you're really saying is that the actual all-knowing, all-powerful God did not write that verse. Every time you say that a verse is not literal, that a verse doesn't really mean what it clearly says right there, that is what you are actually saying, is that the all-knowing God did not actually write that verse. Okay. So I'm glad you know this about yourself now. Let's get back to the story.
He reveals that he's the one that is the creator of all things. He reveals that he had no beginning. He reveals that he's an intelligent agent. So he would fit the general definition I gave to a God.
But
Raman
God
said he was that.
Yeah, my God has the same definition as your God, but my God is that turtle.
Right. Well, so that God is a turtle. But a turtle is a thing in the universe that is a created thing, so it wouldn't fit that definition.
No, not my turtle.
So in other words, you're saying that the definition I gave to my God, you're saying you're calling it, instead of calling it God, you're calling it turtle. Okay, I'll accept that. Then what you're doing is you're conceding to my worldview that God exists, and you're departing from. Hold on, let me finish. So you
Such a fucking cunt. Motherfucker wants to interrupt people left and right, but it's let me finish. Okay.
You're running away from your atheistic worldview and not defending your atheistic worldview. Instead, you're trying to create a hypothetical worldview to somehow.
It's called a parody God as a hypothetical mental exercise, little buckaroo.
Negate my worldview, but instead you adopted my worldview in doing so by claiming that yes, there is this creator, this being, that intelligent agent who has the power and ability to instantiate and impose all states of affairs. It didn't have a beginning. In other words, not a created being. So you're conceding my point that this being exists. You're just calling. Hold on, I'm not finished speaking. Hold on, I'm replying to Brooklyn, not Robert.
Honestly,
so you're just calling this. Instead of calling this being God, you're calling this being turtle. Yeah. So in other words, instead of calling this being God, you're calling this being turtle. So that's fine. We can call this being turtle together. You've actually conceded my point. Thank you for admitting that God exists. Oh, I'm sorry, turtle. We'll call him turtle. But thank you for conceding that he exists.
This God.
Now read your holy turtle.
Yes, this God that has all the attributes that you're describing, all right, is a turtle that is invisible, undetectable, and he's a spirit turtle. And for you, you just said that's acceptable to you.
Well, yeah, you're just calling my God turtle. That's fine. It's just a description of my God by calling him turtle. You're just naming it. You're just naming him turtle. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Your God is a description. Your God is a description. That's the point we're making.
Well, hold on. You said that he fits my description. So, therefore, he has everything that my God has. Therefore, that's fine. I'll call him turtle as well. Thank you for conceding that God exists.
Not only that, my turtle God already defeated your God. So what?
Well, no, because in order to be God, there's only one ultimate with regards to anything and everything that secures all.
That's right, and his magical turtle is more ultimate than your God, is what he's trying to say, you fuck-ass honky.
Possibility and impossibility. So therefore, you can't say, "Oh, my God defeated your God," because we're both in agreement that turtle God exists. You're actually conceding my point that turtle God exists. I would gladly call that God turtle if you'd like, because now we're both in agreement that God exists. So you conceded that God exists. Thank you.
I'm actually trying to get you to understand that what you're doing is just defining a God that you believe in.
I see. I see your point now. I see your point. So I'm just defining it. So I'm not really proving. I understand. So I'm not proving that this God exists. Is that what you're saying?
All the characteristics of your God, but my God is a turtle, invisible, undetectable, and
okay.
Somewhere.
Okay. So let me say for clarification.
Is as real as your God.
Okay, so for clarification, you're saying that I simply defined a God, but I didn't prove that God exists.
You're simply making claims on top of claims on top of claims, and talking over everyone, and then getting mad when anyone else talks over you. You cunt-ass motherfucker.
That's correct.
Pretty much, yeah. You didn't prove.
Okay, well, I can get you to prove that God exists.
Say on the streets, you didn't prove jack shit.
Okay, well, I can get you to prove that God exists just by asking you a few questions. Would you be willing to play along?
I'm gonna prove that.
I will.
Yes. Are you willing to play along?
I do.
Brooklyn, are you willing to play along?
Of course. If
Great, thank you.
To myself that God exists, then I'm gonna believe it.
Great, thank you. So, my first question is, why are you an atheist?
I'm an atheist because I do not believe in gods, or a god, or gods. That's why.
No, you just gave me the definition of an atheist. I said, why are you an atheist?
Because I fit that definition.
Okay.
See, this is where he starts this semantic, little bullshit semantic corralling game.
I know you fit that definition. That is the definition of an atheist. I'm saying what?
Yeah. He said, why do you not believe in God? And Lou says, because I do not believe in a God. No, that's not a good enough answer. They play these little semantic corralling games where he has to get certain answers in order for his little game to work. And if anyone gives any other answer besides the one he needs for his game to work, he freaks the fuck out. Like here in a second, I'm about to drop something that totally unravels his whole little semantic game, and he just totally ignores me and keeps going on with it. And then later on, when he circles back around, I drop the exact same thing again, and then he bounces right away. He's like, "Oh fuck, I'm out." So all this fucking bullshit right here, and he goes through this little semantic game, and as soon as I start not playing along, he's fucking out, and he doesn't let everyone in the room answer his bullshit little game before he bounces out. That's not intellectual honesty.
Is the reasoning that you use to come to the conclusion that there is no God?
Because I have yet to see any good, solid evidence of there being a God outside of what people may believe.
Thank you. So not with regards to the set of all things, but only the set of things that you, Brooklyn, perceive to exist.
That's all that there fucking is. There is nothing else besides that what you can perceive in relation to your subjective awareness. There is nothing else. and, as, and if there is something else, it doesn't matter until it comes into your subjective awareness, at which point it does exist.
Because it's me who has a belief, just like it's you who have a belief.
I didn't get my question out. What are you talking about? I didn't ask the question yet.
I'm saying yes.
How can you? What are you saying yes to? I didn't ask my question yet.
Okay, ask the question.
So not with regards to the set of all things, but only the set of things that you, Brooklyn, perceive to exist. How did you determine that all those things is not evidence for the God that I defined earlier?
Why would I have to prove that? I don't even understand the question.
Non-fucking-sensical, bro.
I didn't say you have to prove it. I asked you, how did you determine? Because you said there's not any evidence.
I told you.
How did you determine that all those things that you perceive is not evidence for the God that I just now defined?
I didn't make that determination. You asked me why I'm an atheist, and I told you why I'm an atheist. I didn't talk about all the things in the world and all the things that have ever existed.
I love your question. I think it's perfect. I'd love to ask it back to you about Brahman. How did
so Brooklyn, you said you have not made the determination?
About all things in the world? No.
Okay, so then would you assert right now that with regards to all things in the world that...
See, Robert just turned his little bullshit semantic game right back on him, and he intentionally ignored Robert because that would dismantle his little game. Equally applying logic, you could use that same line of questioning to any other god. but this guy intentionally ignores it with that mental cognitive bias there.
They do necessitate the God that I just now defined?
No, definitely not.
Well, how did you determine that they don't?
I didn't determine that. I don't believe it.
Okay. So, with regards to all things that you perceive to exist, would you say that those things are intelligible to you? In other words, they have the characteristic whereby they're capable of being perceived by you?
If I perceive them, then yes.
I didn't ask whether you perceive them. I already stated that you perceive them.
Stop going in circles.
I didn't ask whether you perceive them.
You asked me, did you not ask if I'm able to perceive these
I
things?
never asked you whether you're able to perceive them. Instead, in my very question, I conceded that you're able to perceive them.
I'm not able to perceive all things.
I didn't say you were able to perceive all things.
There are things that may...
I didn't say you were able to perceive all things, sir. I didn't say you were able to perceive things. All things.
Okay, then what's the point?
I'll ask my question again, because apparently you didn't hear my question.
I probably heard it. It's probably a dumb question, but I'll answer it.
So, not with regards to all things. Remember, I said that in the beginning. I said, not the set of all things.
Right, some things, right?
Only the set of things you're perceiving, right?
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I got it.
Now, with regards to those things you're perceiving, see, I'm conceding that you're perceiving things. I'm not asking you whether you're perceiving things. I am stating that you're perceiving things in my very question.
Right. Okay, I got you so far.
So, with regards to those things that you're perceiving, would you agree that those things are intelligible to you, at least on a basic level, that they have the characteristic whereby they are capable of being perceived by you?
Capable of being perceived by you?
Questions. That's two different things right there.
Are they capable of being perceived by me?
No, those things you're perceiving, are they capable of being perceived by you?
Yes, because we already stated that I perceive certain things. So if I'm going to say I perceive something, then it's capable of being perceived. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, if something were imperceivable to you, if it had the characteristic whereby it was imperceivable, okay? Right. In other words, you're capable of perceiving things, but this particular thing,
I can't perceive.
based on its own characteristics, is imperceivable.
Right.
Would you be able to perceive it?
Obviously not.
Okay, thank you. Now, are you the cause? Do you have positive belief that you're the cause of all things outside of yourself, like all the galaxies, stars, supernova, black holes, all the people on Earth, all the atoms in the universe?
I don't think so.
It's my position that nothing exists itself.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing exists
So-
outside of
See, he actively ignores Robert when Robert stepped outside of his little semantic game. He actively ignored me when I stepped outside of his little active game.
Okay, so thank you. So, Brooklyn, so since these things are intelligible to you based on their characteristics, and you're not the cause of these things outside of yourself, if you look up the definition.
And if he was talking over me, but I said there is nothing outside of myself in relation to myself and in my perception. There is nothing outside of myself and my perception, and as soon as something comes into my perception, then it is within my perception. See, these are just semantic games. It's like, here, let me prove God to you by giving a circle jerk semantics. I'm like, no, sir.
Definition of intelligibility, since they're intelligible to you, you'll see that it's, quote, the state of being intelligible. And if you look up the definition of that, you'll see that it exists not as a concrete physical thing. In other words, you can't take the state of intelligibility, wrap it up with Christmas wrapping paper and give it to somebody as a Christmas gift. You know, you can't put it in the mail and mail it to somebody. So if you look it up, and you don't have to believe me, you can look it up yourself, you see that it exists as an abstract thing. And if you look up abstract things, you'll see that abstract things necessitate a mind for its very existence. Well, you just admitted that.
What am I proving here?
Yes, I'm about to land my plane. You
God is
just
an abstract
admitted.
thing. He exists in your mind just like everything else you've been talking about.
Yes, so you just admitted,
that.
Brooklyn, that with regards to all these things outside of yourself, with regards to their very characteristic, you're not the one that's causing any of that. You've just admitted that. Yeah. And yet you've also admitted that with regards to their very characteristics, that they abstractly have that characteristic of intelligibility, ontologically so. So that means since you're not the one that's instantiating and opposing all ontological intelligibility itself, and I know I'm not doing it, I don't think Robert's doing it, I don't think...
Don't speak for me, the motherfucker starts pissing me off right here. I have already clearly stated that nothing exists outside of me. Okay, and this motherfucker is going to speak for me. Oh, this motherfucker pisses me off. Going to speak for me and then talk over me when I try to rebut it.
Dark light is doing it.
It's the
So there must be some other mind that's doing it because it exists as an abstract thing, and this is why you're spurging out and getting defensive, because you realize that this completely refutes the atheistic worldview. It proves that a mind is responsible for all ontological intelligibility itself, and atheists have no argument against this. They have no rebuttal.
I don't understand how you got there.
Hold on. I'm going to say.
Well, Robert's had a few fucking rebuttals that you just ignored and dismissed. Trying to, yeah.
Say something, and Robert, you can talk. All right. I have heard these crazy philosophical garbage for many years. So nothing you're saying I haven't heard. All right.
Okay, what's your rebuttal?
Okay, it's my answer, and it's for me because I don't go to someone to tell me how to answer things.
Hey, we all get to answer this one.
But it's simple for me. All right. Abstract is not real. That's my answer. So abstract and concepts are not things, but they are important. It's a thought is important, but it's not a thing. All right. God exists as an abstract concept in people's minds. He used to exist in my mind. as an abstract concept. He did not come in my room like you said in the beginning. He didn't sit here. He's not here talking to me. Okay? But I can imagine or have an abstract concept that he is, but that doesn't mean he is. So he's not a thing. He's no thing. He's nothing. What he is.
See, now I am theist, and I will agree with that. That God is no thing, but no thing is a thing. Actually, no thing is the thing that binds all things together within the fractal singularity omnimatrix. Even scientifically, the Casimir effect is on the ultra, on like the Planck scale. Like an atom is 99.9% empty, but that emptiness isn't actually empty. That emptiness is still something. It is quantum fluctuations. It is quantum foam. It is it is still something. So it is within that nothing. There is the something that binds all things. So I do agree with that right there, Lou, for sure.
It's an abstract concept. So that's my answer. Now,
But your answer had nothing to do with the argument that I put forward. I wasn't making any argument as to whether or not God was concrete or abstract. My argument was with regards to all ontological intelligibility.
No, that's not true at all. You're using abstractness as your linchpin for your entire argument. You said that the I don't fucking semantic bullshit game, dude. Like semantic bullshit.
Self with regards to everything and anything we're perceiving, that those things themselves have, by the very characteristic, the state of being intelligible. And you've admitted that you're not the one instantiating and imposing that state of being intelligible, and that state of being intelligible is not a concrete physical thing, but instead an abstract thing, which necessitates a mind. So since you ruled out your...
See, yeah, there you go. You just made abstractness the linchpin of your entire argument.
Mind as being the cause for the state of being intelligible, ontological intelligibility itself. And I know my mind's not the cause. Robert's mind certainly...
Motherfucker speaking for me again. This fucking pisses me off, dude. Speaking for me while talking over me when I already clearly said nothing exists outside of me when this whole fucking semantic game first started.
Isn't the cause. Dark Light's mind isn't the cause, and yet there is some mind that is the cause.
See, motherfucker talking over me, dude. He keeps saying, don't talk over me, but he wants to talk over everyone else. Fuck you, motherfucker. This guy was annoying as shit.
Cause, because again, abstract things necessitate a mind for its very existence. And I'm not saying that it exists in the real world. Like, in other words, if you imagine a chair, that somehow that chair exists in reality, that would be a concrete thing. But I said, if you were listening to my argument, that, quote, the state of being intelligible, unquote, is an abstract thing. And there is some mind that's instantiating and imposing that abstract thing. It's not your mind because you've already admitted it's not your mind. But there is a mind that's doing it, and that mind is the mind of God, obviously.
It's your turn to
that's
listen.
what you believe.
It's your turn to listen.
Now, do any of you have an argument?
Yeah, motherfucker, I do. Yeah, I do. See, I am a theist. I believe that I am God. We are all God. So you kept speaking for me, saying, "Oh, Darklight doesn't think that anything exists." Actually, the only thing that exists is me. All that exists is me within my perception, within my subjectivity. So you kept speaking for me. That's why I kept saying, "Don't speak for me, motherfucker," because I'm theist. I'm not atheist.
We're three different people here. Yes.
All consciousness is an extension.
I have a different one too.
Well, you're not a theist. You're a polytheist because you just said everybody's God. So you're a pagan polytheist.
Well, even a polytheist is a theist, but that is not accurate. Calling me a polytheist, and I'll get into it here.
I'm a polytheist. I'm a non-Abrahamic true monotheist. Okay. See, and
No, you just said we're all gods, plural. Yes, so that's polytheism.
I said we are all God, singular. We are all an extension of the godhood, because I do not observe.
See, now this criticism from this guy might make a little bit more sense with logical consistency coming from a Jew or coming from a Muslim, but coming from a Christian, where you already believe in a plurality, which is three gods within one. If you can be three gods within one, then you can also be infinite gods within one. You can be God divided unto infinity, which is exactly what I believe. I do not believe in the divisions. I believe in the unity of God. If I believe in the division of God, then I would be a polytheist. But since I believe in the unity of God, whereas everything is God, everything is an extension of God, then I am absolutely a monotheist.
Separation.
And if I was polytheist, I would claim that. If that's what I truly believed, I would claim that. Unapologetically, no fucks given.
Observe unity. If I observed and capitulated to separation, then I would be a polytheist. But I am a non-Abrahamic true monotheist. I believe that every single one of us is God's life.
See, he's about to fucking bounce, dude. Fucking bitch ass nigger. He don't let Robert answer. And as soon as I give an answer that is outside of his little fucking semantic bullshit game, he's out. He ain't having it. He's out.
The living God is living through our lives.
How did God reveal himself to you?
Do what?
How did God, this God, reveal himself to you?
I am God. I looked in the mirror, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, so you looked in the mirror and God... Okay.
Hey, right.
Okay, well, this has been fun, guys, but I gotta go. You guys have a good night.
Yeah, see, Lou should have used the fucking mute button on this motherfucker more, man. Fuck this motherfucker, dude. This guy was so fucking annoying, bro.
At least I know you're real, Doc, right?
You can't just drop that and leave. Nah. What's your answer, Robert?
No, I just think it's hilarious. I subscribe to that. There's two different states that we have: the physical reality, as Kant said, the noumenal and the phenomenal. So what we have is we have the phenomenal that we experience, and then we have the noumenal that is the world in of itself beyond our perception. So I do believe that all of us have our own individual phenomenal experiences. What I perceive in the world right now, and the ideal that I perceive you two as on screen, this is entirely conceptual inside of my brain. But it is being reflective of a actual physical reality, which is what Kant referred to as the noumenal. I'm trying to think what Descartes had a different name for it, but it's the world in of itself that would be here regardless of our perception of the reality, right? So it didn't really need an answer, because he did 2 + 2 is 12. Prove me wrong, mic drop, and like, no, we don't have to. What you're saying doesn't make sense.
I want to say something dark. I will say that at least I consider you real. Okay, and you are more real than his God is. That I will say that. You're a thing, and his God is no thing.
So. Well, I am a monotheist. Okay, I believe we are all an extension of God. God is living through our lives. That is how can he be the eternal living God, yet he is separate from each one of our lives? That is nonsensical.
I don't know if you're more from the Spinozian position or more of a pantheist, or where exactly you're at on it. Do you tend to identify yourself with more of those types of titles, or something close to them, or what?
Well, I'm creating my own theology, but essentially I'm a non-Abrahamic true monotheist, but I do not come to my monotheism through the scriptures or dogmas of Abraham. Sure. So I don't have their limitations into my theism.
Yeah, you sound, what you've said so far is very close to Spinozianism, right? It's very close to him, which is something that, to some degree, Einstein started entertaining a little bit.
The closest thing that I have found that resembles my theology is called omnitheism, but my theology is way more developed than omnitheism.
Okay.
But I'm more. I do consider myself. I identify as a monotheist. I'm a true monotheist. I'm more of a monotheist than Christians are. I do believe. I think that Jews are the closest to the true monotheism. Christians are a dualistic bitheism. If you believe in two separate kingdoms, each ruled by a maximally great ruler, because two kingdoms under two different rulers, that is not a monotheism. That is a bitheism.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. This is what I generally would call a benign theological point of view. It's not something that ever does kamikaze bombing or tries to pass certain things that are fundamentalist in our schools.
I don't have any scriptures or dogma that command or demand harm on my fellow man. And actually, that's the biggest problem I have with Abrahamic theology, is that anytime I go to talk to an Abrahamic theologist, a Jew, a Muslim, or a Christian, I ask them, will you disavow the verses in your holy book that command, demand, and justify you harming your fellow man? That's my biggest question that I have to them. Most of the time, they will say, no, I won't, because they know that they are in a blood cult. They know that their peers will want to kill them if they disavow any of their verses.
Well, let me ask you one, and it's far less severe, obviously. Could you be wrong?
Oh, absolutely. Everything's imagination. Everything's imagination. But if we're all living in imagination land anyway, I'm going to drink my own goddamn Kool-Aid.
Fair enough.
And I accept that answer too.
You threw my theology right out of my ass, dude. And I'm happy to admit that. But the thing is, so do they. Abrahamic religions pull it right out of their ass, except for they can't admit it.
Definitely. I do agree with that. Okay. At least you are admitting it.
Yeah.
Totally, you may very well be right.
I can respect that more than someone who just goes in circles trying to defend something and doesn't even.
Well, that was a semantic game. That was a semantic game. They like to cast these barriers around and say, and they create these narratives that try to drive you in a certain direction. That way they can say, gotcha. But notice he wasn't letting us interject. He kept saying, don't interrupt me, yet he wasn't letting any of us talk, because he had to cast his narrative out. He couldn't let anyone stray from the narrative he was casting the whole way.
A semantic ladder is what we call it. They do these steps of building that they build this late. I like Robert. This is my first time talking to him, but I liked Robert a lot. He had really very. He was knowledgeable. He's very knowledgeable, and yeah, I like Robert. I hope we have more interactions with him. Okay, now come with me a little further, and then we get, this 2 represents this thing, and then we get this equation kind of thing at the end. Therefore God. So we were all trying to work towards that. But the problem is, it doesn't matter how bad that logic is, even if we follow it and it's completely correct. At the very last moment, you can change out their God with another God and say, absolutely. Toodles, right? And so it's always like, look at the trees, man. The fact that trees exist are proof that, and I'm like, Zeus. Right, you can always just change it out and say all of these things are proof that, and whatever other God,
So I realize, Lou, that I haven't answered your question fully, which I believe I've told you in the past, like a year ago or whatever. But to answer your question directly as to the prompt of this live, why do I believe in a creator? Okay, it's because I am a creator. I create the world that I live in. That is why I believe in a creator, because I am a creator. It's basically a look at the trees, except for it's a look at the creator. But I am that creator. That's why I believe in a creator.
But you don't believe in the traditional creator gods that we generally get in religion.
Well, because traditionally, especially with Abrahamic religions, they cast that creator as something that is separate from you. That's why the dude bounced as soon as I started coming up with good arguments as to why I am God. He's like, I can't have this. I'm out. Motherfucker thinks he's God. I'm out. It's like, not only do I think I'm God,
you're arguing from your framing is completely different than the Abrahamic God people.
Yeah.
It's completely different framing.
Well, it's an internalized perception of God instead of an externalized perception of God.
Especially once I start dropping my arguments that counter their arguments, that they don't like that. They don't like that.
So it's not solipsism from what I'm getting from him now, Phil Burp. When I first heard him say it, you were making the argument earlier, 100%, I was like, this is solipsism. This dude is a solipsism.
I'm nothing like what you've ever seen, Robert. I'm nothing like what you've seen. I can't be, because I'm making my own shit up as I go.
Has a solipsism position. But that's not actually what it sounds like it is the more that I talk to you. This doesn't sound like solipsism. That I am a person not being for your mind, right?
All consciousness is an extension of the omni-consciousness. We are all co-creators within the Godhood. Every word, every name ever spoken, every spirit that exists is the word, name, and spirit of the actual one true creator. God is living through our lives. That is why he is the eternal living God. How can there be an eternal living God that is separate from any one shred, any one quanta of life? It is the eternal living God, and all life is a living death. Every single moment is a micro death that leads up to our eventual macro death. Every moment that passes is gone forever. And that is a micro death leading up to our eventual macro death of this incarnation. And I believe in reincarnation. We are all God. I didn't say we are all gods. We are all God. We are all an extension of God. We are all a manifestation of the ever-living God.
You don't see me as a person that's created entirely by your mind, existing only in your conceptual reality.
No. Everyone is God. Everyone, like if I disappear, you still exist. Except for you just don't exist to me.
Gotcha. Yeah, Mighty Filbert, I thought the exact same thing when I first heard it.
It is ultra subjectivity. The ego is like the RFID chip, which allows localized manifestation of consciousness. Okay, everyone has this thing against ego, that there's always negative connotations associated with ego, but no one acknowledges the positive connotations associated with ego, which is what actually allows all of localized expression.
And I was like, is this no? And hard solipsism is a problem that at a philosophical scale, you can't truly disprove it. But
yeah, I'm kind of adjacent to a couple fringe theologies out there that I've discovered, but I just do my own shit, man. Like it's all imaginary anyway. It's all non-provable anyway. So I just do my own goddamn thing,
I enjoyed Buffy. I'm actually I wanted to pop on here because of some of his absolutely ridiculous arguments about the Torah. And I did look into that alignment for the facial cloth and all, and they don't align. They just don't align.
I don't like. It fascinates me because I try my utter best to try to be rational. Okay. Now, I recognize I'm capable of being irrational, all right? But I value rational thought. And in what I'm experienced when I talk to apologists like that is not rational at all. It's just circular and, it's...
Circle jerk semantics, bruh.
I call it bullshit or garbage. It's
circular bullshit. Well, see, the thing is, the Torah specifically says, do not add to or subtract anything, okay? And so when the Christians come along and they add an entire new covenant and then they subtract all kinds of shit from the Torah, they then create a totally divergent Yahweh. That is Yahweh Jesus versus Yahweh Hashem. There are totally different gods, but then the Christians will want to base all their authority off the Jewish God, while at the same time creating a totally provably different God. But they want all the authority of the Jewish God, while at the same time undermining the authority of the Jewish God the entire time. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, gentlemen. I am going to bounce those. Good talking to you, Lou, as always. Hey, Dark Light, good talking to you, man. Take care.
Good meeting you, Robert.
Yeah,
Great meeting you, Robert, man. Hopefully we can do it again.
I'm going to listen on the side here a little bit, but I got to do some other things.
All right, I am writing a theology book, and I'm going to need some people to drop reviews on it and give me some feedback on it if you're open to that later in the future. All right.
Sure, absolutely. My email's listed on my channel. I'm a Skeptic Philosophy, and
Okay.
I YouTube a little bit. And I think I've talked here over on the side. You'll see me on Skeptic Philosophy. You can click on that, and all my.
I'll go subscribe to you.
Hey, thank you, man. Take care.
All right.
So anyway, that was fun. I enjoyed. I enjoyed that. Now,
well, I enjoyed it more before bro jumped on. We were having fun before he jumped on, but
well, I like the give and take and attention, but I'm finding it really, really difficult to consistently have to deal with what seems to be, when you look at things logically, as a bunch of bullshit. Okay? And it's like, when I've heard it, over and over.
And it's not just the bullshit, it's the dishonest, manipulative bullshit. At least I got some fucking straight up honest bullshit. Me and my theology, that's some honest bullshit right there. Not this fucking shady, sneaky, let me cast this semantic net to try to reel you in and trick you into capitulating with my fucking trickery bullshit. No, I'm just shooting from the fucking hip, straight up, simple, here you go bullshit.
Over and over, and I've already thought about it so many times. It's like I have a hard time even getting into it with these people anymore. It's like,
well, he wasn't being intellectually honest, because I saw that you were trying to have a hypothetical thought game that you were trying to play with him. Trying to show him that his perception of God is just a hypothetical thought game. And as soon as you started trying to play with him a little bit, he's like, okay, that means you're admitting that I'm right, which is totally inaccurate.
I mean, did I admit he was right?
Never. That did not happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's so dumb. It gets so frustrating. I mean, when I'm dealing, it's like I'm not even dealing with reality anymore. Like once they go into these things, it's like, what in the world are you talking about? I didn't say that.
Yeah. He was saying, I knew there was God when I was a kid, but then that makes a huge leap when he goes into, now I know it's the Christian God. That's a huge leap going from, I believe in God, but now all of a sudden it has to be the Christian God all of a sudden, because the Christian God made claims. But you know who made claims before the Christian God was the Jewish God, who the Christians appropriated. And the Jewish God made claims too. And the Jewish God made claims, you cannot add to or subtract anything in my Torah. That was the claims of the Jewish God. But then the Christians want to come along and say, oh, we got claims too, and we're going to appropriate the power, the supposed power of the Jewish God, but we're going to change everything about it, though. My overarching point is they are totally divergent, different gods. The Christians created God in the image that they wanted to worship. Then they gaslight both the Jews by saying they worship their God. Then they gaslight the world by saying that no one can create God in the image that they want. Motherfuckers, y'all been doing it for 2,000 years. What are you talking about?
Like, at least I keep complimenting you tonight, Dark Light. At least you're a God who speaks. I hear you.
See?
All right. His God doesn't speak.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
His God always has to have a person like him speaking for him.
Yeah.
Because
at
his
least
God doesn't say a word.
His God can't even speak for himself.
Exactly.
This is where they will say, yes, he can, through the book. Through the book and through the Holy Spirit. All right, y'all. This has gone on pretty long, and I knew it would. I wanted to interject, and I dropped all my evidences, the contradictions, the scientific, historical, archaeological evidence that shit in the Bible is not accurate. So you got a huge problem when you make the claim this here book is the truth. If something is the absolute truth, there would not be one single solitary shred of untruth that you are able to find. But that is not what we observe. So this has gone on long enough right here. This is a long-ass video, and I'm going to jump off here. Might not even save it. I don't know. So y'all stay beautiful, motherfuckers. I'm the brightest night. I am the darkest light, and I am ascending, as are we all. The dark light is upon you. Step into Dane's world.